Good evening, and welcome to Community Social Justice Atlanta. I am your host for tonight, Minister Eva McMillan, and I am so excited that you have tuned in tonight. Go ahead and share this page because you want to invite every woman, young, old, middle age, whatever stage of life that female is in. You want to invite them tonight to this show. It is going to be an exciting show. We're going to be talking about the blueprint of the successful woman. Now, you know, Community Social Justice Atlanta has been bringing you quality segments for the last 24 months. This year will be our second year anniversary, and we are so excited. If you've been following us at Community Social Justice Atlanta, you know that we have talked about a various number of topics. We talked about COVID. We talked about racism. We talked about voter suppression. We talked about were our schools ready, mental health, anything that was pertinent to the community, we bring it to you. We vet every guest that comes on. We make sure that they are knowledgeable. We make sure that the information we give you is truth. And we want to make sure that the information will cause you to want to act, cause you to want to be inspired enough to do better. I know that they say that when we know better, we do better. So I want you to go ahead and share this page. We got some exciting things coming up for the future. As you know, what's been happening within the United States also has been affecting our community. This voting issue that is going on, COVID is still out there. It is still affecting our lives. People still are losing their homes. There's homelessness everywhere. We're going to be tackling some of that in the coming months. We're going to be talking about domestic violence as we have done in the past. So whatever is pertinent to our community, we will bring it to you. I hope that as every woman this week has been tuned in to the confirmation hearing of our sister Judge Brown Jackson. And so let's keep her up in prayer. Let's be prayerful and keep the people of Ukraine up in prayer. Pray for the Russians. Pray that God would have his way and protect all of those that are being affected by what is going on. The issues that affect over the seas have a tendency to affect us here. If you don't think that it would affect you, just look at the gas prices. Just look at the food prices. Just look at what is affecting us because of what's going on somewhere else. You know, there is an adage that says, "I am my brother's keeper." That we are all one. We are all connected, whether we're red, brown, white, whatever color we are, whatever nationality we are. We are all connected, and we must be concerned about each other. So, in your prayer time, in your time of meditation, call up those that are less fortunate than you. Call up the Ukrainians. Call up the Russians. Pray for those that are in Africa. Pray for those that are in Haiti. Pray for those that are in the United States because we all need God to hear us and to send change. Those that have experienced domestic violence, let's pray for them. Those children who are still struggling in school, continue to pray for them. Pray for our teachers that have come back after being gone for so long and now having to adjust from virtual teaching back to in-house teaching. Pray for our pastors that many of them now are deciding to go back in the month of April. And I know that there was some trepidation about exposing their members, but let's pray for our pastors. Pray for leadership. Pray that God will have the hand upon everyone. Let's keep our families in prayer. Well, tonight we have an exciting show. As you know, this month, the month of March, is Women's History Month. And so, because of that, I have invited two amazing women. And tonight we're going to bring on one of these women who I know and admire so much. And tonight we're going to bring in, I'm going to read you a little bit about her. And I'm going to read it because I find that she is such a humble person that she probably would not share with you all the things that she has accomplished. But tonight, Judy Shaw is our special guest. And I'm going to read you what I found out about Judy and know to be true. She is a sought after international speaker who has commanded the attention of audiences around the world for the past 35 years. The founder of Center of Life Church in Sioux Falls, she has established faith-based centers around the world. She has 4 campuses in one in Ghana, one in Siberia. She has helped to develop sustainable communities in those areas. She has a school for girls in Kenya. Judy serves on the board of the Metro International Churches. Judy supports 2 orphans with the orphans. My mouth is twisted because I'm so excited tonight. And Judy has held a number of civic leader roles in Sioux Falls. Um, and she has just launched a new ministry that is entitled I Am Judy Shaw. Would you welcome my friend and my dear sister, Judy Shaw? Hello, Judy.
Hello, Eva. I am so happy and honored to be a part of this great forum. As I have been looking and listening in the past ones, you're doing a fantastic job, you and the committee there, and kudos to you, but also blessings to your every endeavor to not only inform us, but to give us some hope. I love that, and thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you so much. I am honored that you would take time out of your busy schedule. As I say, this woman travels across the world, not just the nation, but across the world. Tell us a little bit about the activities that you carry on in Kenya and in Ghana.
Sure, and thanks for asking. So I can just have everyone to be a part of it in their well-intentioned and prayers. In Kenya, I started going to Kenya in 2003. Was speaking at an international conference where I first got a real look at the country of Kenya. Besides being the big city, I went into the rural areas and I saw some things that never left my mind, never left my heart. And when I got back home, I said, what can I do about seeing these young girls, 11 and 12, being circumcised, getting ready for marriage? What can I do about, some of the things that I saw? And I talked to one of the people in the administration of the vice presidents, and they said, why don't you build a school? So that's how the school, the compound began. We went there, got with the tribal chiefs, and built a relationship for about 3 years and convinced them that we were not going to take pictures and take money and not show up again. And when we did, they gave us the go ahead to build a girls' school. It's great. We're still adding on to it, but they're in school, maybe over 300 kids there. And then over in Ghana, where we sent our pastors, and Jumble and Stacy, Eva, and they're doing a fantastic. I'm the poster girl for that organization. But they're doing a fantastic job, and they're reaching the community. They are now a distribution center themselves. And wow. God has blessed them. I mean, they're really living under that. I bless you and I'll make you a blessing. So I'm so proud of them. They're doing great. There's another school in Liberia called the Judicial Academy with one of the pastors there. They're doing wonderful. And God has just blessed us to have the orphanages and India. Did not start those, but the second one we got going, and we're helping to sustain them. And it's been a blessing to be a blessing to other nations. And it's been my joy. I started out in the USA, just in case you say, well, charity begins at home. I did. I started out, as that was one of the reasons why I was still here in South Dakota. I started on the reservations, and we began to do a big work on the reservation, not only with school and education, and not only with accommodations for living, but also going to Washington and bringing hundreds, thousands, and millions of dollars into that community. So
Wow.
now they are a well-established community, like a town or like a city. So God is blessed, and I'm happy to be a part of what God is doing.
Amen. Well, we're so happy to have you to grace our platform tonight. So we're going to get right into it. We're expecting our other guests, and as soon as she's able to come on, we'll bring her in. But we're going to get right to some of these discussions that we've been having offline. Um, I want to talk about the blueprint of the successful woman. And what I want to talk about now is, how do we define success? Um, Success can be different
Mm-hmm.
for different people. And I looked up a term when it comes to success, that success can either be absolute or relative.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about that absolute, to me, this is where we need to get to. The absolute just says my absolute success is compared to what I determine it to be. My relative success is when I compare myself to Judy Shaw. And Judy Shaw's path is not my path.
That's so good.
But that's what, but us as women, we tend to compare ourselves to other women. And sometimes we lose out because we don't define our purpose and then become successful at that. I've just been told that Brenda is in the studio now, so I'm going to switch and bring Brenda in because I want her to be a part of this conversation. Um, Brenda Strickland, Brenda Lee Strickland Realties. Come on in, Brenda, and greet the people tonight. Unmute yourself, Brenda.
Good
Unmute.
evening, everyone. To God be the glory. We had some technical difficulties, but we're in here. Thank you so much for the invite, Minister McMillan. Thank you so much, Minister Eva, for having me here with you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Now, for those of you that are in the Atlanta metro area, you probably have seen Brenda on various platforms. I know you've seen her at doing real estate. Brenda has been in real estate. How many years now, Brenda? Say that again.
Almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, for what you don't know is that this is Brenda's second career. Her first career, you've been in the school system how long?
26 years.
26 years.
Yes.
And in the school system, what are you doing in the school system now?
In the school system, which I'm retiring in May, but in the school system, I'm actually an academic coach in which I train and assist teachers and administrators with best practices in teaching.
Yeah. So she is the teacher trainer. So I'm going to tell you, Brenda knows what she is doing. If you're struggling with math, because I know at some point my children, I had Brenda helping with math, for those of us that get to the point where I just can't deal anymore. So we're going to bring somebody in. She's the person that we brought in. So as I said before, I've known these two women now a good part of 30 plus years, but we're not going to talk about that because that would mean that we were playmates in kindergarten. So we're going to move forward. But I posed the question again when we talk about defining success. That success really to me is an absolute, that I can only define success for myself. So Brenda, I'm going to start with you. How do you define success?
I define success as being able to be transparent, be a woman of conviction, a woman of the cloth, a person who wants the best, but not only themselves, for others as well. So success meaning you doing what God has called you to do. On even in education and in real estate, and meeting the needs of people, making sure that when the job is done, you feel like you've done everything that you put everything to it. You've given 100% of all of you, and you've left nothing on the table. to me, that's success.
Mhm.
Being a provider, being a woman who is a woman of integrity and character, and that you're meeting the needs of people. That's success. You know, some people may think of success as being, I'm making all this money and I'm going to do this with all this money. And I'm not saying that's not the right attitude to have. You do want to be successfully financially, but you want to be successfully in all areas of your lives. Be a full person and not all right and all left, but you have a balance there. That you're balancing your success in your family, you're successful in your marriage, you're successful in your ministry, you're successful with your children. You're just successful in all that you do. You want to be successful, not just in one area, but in all areas of your lives.
Uh, Judy, I'll pose that question to you as well.
Yeah, thank you, my dear sister. And I totally tag on to what she's saying and just add a little bit more because it is personally how you see it.
Mhm.
And when I think about success and a person asking me that or asking someone else that, the first thing I want to say are you happy? That's the first thing I want to say. Are you
Yes.
happy? Are you fulfilled? Are you satisfied with who you are? Are you satisfied with where you are? Are you satisfied with what you're doing? Because all of these are components of being first successful within yourself.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I think before we can launch out to having this successful career and doing these successful things, we got to
Mhm.
be successful with ourselves first. So I think it starts with us. And I would say then, I would say success is what fulfills you. It's
Mhm.
the ability to reach your goals, as Brenda was saying. What are your goals? What do you want to do? Whatever your aspirations are, whatever your dreams are, not only to reach them, but to experience them.
Mhm.
That feeling and that notion of being successful is that you are engaged in it and you're living it. Means that you're experiencing it and not still dreaming about it. So I
Mhm.
think that it's the ability to be able to reach those goals and to experience all of those wonderful ideas and that assignment that's on our life, and to be satisfied and content in a sense. And I'll quote that: content with knowing that this is what fulfills my life and this is what makes me happy, to know that I'm doing what I'm called to do. I'm doing my life purpose. Not only am I helping somebody else, as my dear sister said, but then, as she said, it encompasses everything. So success is when I'm empowering you and I'm empowering myself. When I can help make you happy, and
Yes.
I'm going to be happy too. So
Yes.
I'm successful, and I just tag along for what she said. I totally agree with that.
Wow. So it sounds as if we're talking about balance, balance in everything in the area of our lives, because you can have tons of money, millions, billions, and not feel fulfilled or don't feel joy. You don't have happiness, and so you just have the materials, but nothing that goes along, nothing that actually satisfies. I guess that's a lot of times what happens with people when they, change careers. I know for myself, I stayed in corporate for over 30 years and just got burnt out.
Mhm.
Switched into nonprofit and had some fulfillment there
Mhm.
along the way, being a minister, always helping. And then one thing I learned is that I took a class that talked about uh, uh, being true to yourself, being true to your purpose,
Yeah.
and that your purpose will basically follow you wherever. No
Yeah.
matter whether you're in corporate,
Yeah.
ministry, home, wherever, your purpose. So realizing your purpose, and I think that helps to balance us out when we would actually define what that purpose is.
Yes.
Um, I did a survey, and I polled some women and I said, hey, tell me what you believe are the main traits or the main characteristics of a successful woman, because those characteristics are generally what we expect in someone is what we want to see in ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
if you had to narrow it down to three characteristics that a successful woman has, Judy, what would that be?
I think the first thing I would say is she has to have and to know her personal authority. Number one. I would say that she has to be a woman of intentionality, which would include focus and resilience and determination. And then I think I would say she would have to have the understanding in the art of knowing life and knowing people.
Mm.
And when you
Now,
have the understanding of knowing life and knowing people, then you know that there's some self-care, not only self-care, but there's some caring about people. There's some not a selfish thing. And then when you talk about that also, you talk about encompassing, understanding life, because you have to be flexible. You have to be being able to juggle. You talked about being balanced, but life will make you juggle.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep all this stuff balanced. So it's the understanding that you're going to have failures. That's life. It's going to be understanding of you're going to have the good, bad, and the ugly. It's going to be betrayal. And so when you understand all those components of life, and then you understand that it's an art in understanding people, when they hurt you, when whatever happens, you just kind of know what to do with it. You know where to place it, and then you can take a hit and keep on moving. So I think I would go with those three.
Okay. So Brenda, I'm going to pose this to you just a little bit different.
Okay.
So knowing you, and I know that, your faith is very strong. You're very rooted and grounded in your faith. Outside of your faith, what characteristic do you possess that you think has caused you to rise to the level that you are now?
That's good.
What has caused me to rise to that level is the fact that if I say I'm going to do something, I say, committed to my word, because I believe that if I'm not committed to my word, how can I expect anyone else to be committed to me? Or I take it so personal that God says in his word that, he's a man of his word. He said he would not lie. So therefore, for me, I follow those principles. I follow the biblical principles in my life outside of being a Christian. So when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm committed to what I say. I feel like integrity is so important. Character is so important. When they call my name, I don't want it to be said, well, she doesn't perform. She says one thing but do something else. So I live what I say. And not just in the church, but outside the church, in the marketplace. When a person see you, who do they see in the marketplace? So outside of being a woman of God, I just believe that if I'm going to say or do something, I should do and be obedient to what I say and do, and make sure that it's integrity and character. I'm stuck with integrity and character here because I believe that takes you so further than anything else. And being able to treat people right, that's a big one for me also. It's just treat people right. And my dad taught me that at a young age. He said, it doesn't matter who a person is, what background they came from or they come from. You always treat people right. You always, because it's a part of your heritage. For me, being from a family that was poor, we were poor. And so my parents instilled some of those values in us. And so therefore, I'm just committed to being a person of my word.
One of the things that I remember in the past about you, Brenda, is that you were with an agency, and in that agency, you were one of the $1 million performers. And you went from that agency to creating your own. And what was that? What caused you to say, I can do this for myself?
I think a lot of it has to do with my upbringing. My dad was a hard worker. My dad worked 3 jobs. There were 11 of us, 8 siblings still living. And my dad always taught us first of all, we would sit around the kitchen table on Sunday mornings and pray, get on our knees before breakfast and pray before we would go to church. But my dad was always, told us, don't depend on one thing, have multiple streams of income. And so he modeled that for us. And so, as a $1 million producer, I wanted to build a legacy for my family. But not only my family, but I felt like my model would be different than other agencies. I wanted my agents to build a legacy for their families.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said to some women 2 days ago in Dubai in a conference, Zoom conference that I had with them, the Bible says that a good man leaves his inheritance for his children's children.
Children, yes.
And so my model was more so, guys, when you get into the business of real estate, it's okay to have the all these accolades, but what are you leaving for your family?
Mm-hmm.
No. And so that's when I wanted to do something on my own, but I wanted to not just to do it for myself, but for my agents as well, and to train them, to show them how they could build that legacy, how they could be investors, and how they could also own properties, because it's okay to sell the property, but what about owning the property?
Mm-hmm.
So I did that from that perspective, wanting my agents to have more and to have a different model. And another agent actually shared that with me. He says, "Wait a minute, Brenda, you're doing very well in real estate. What happens after real estate is over?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to collect for what you've done all those years?" And so that's when I started that model. And I thought, that's a great idea. I'm going to train my agents and teach my agents to do that.
Wow. Awesome.
Powerful.
Judy, I don't know, and I hope that I can share this. If not, we'll take it out. You you owned a hotel.
Yes.
Awesome.
You don't have to take it out.
Okay. I mean, because
Ain't no shame to my game.
how many Black women of color, well, Black women, there's some women of color, but how many own a hotel? What what gave you the audacity to think that you could own a hotel?
Well, it's a matter of fact, it's a hotel, conference center, and restaurant. Three different, all three in one. And it was in 2014 that I took this calculated risk.
Mm-hmm.
You being a good businesswoman or successful person. Am I right, Sister Brenda? You got to take these calculated risks, and you have to step out on faith.
Yes.
And saying, you know what, I can do this. Well, it was presented to me. And when I first looked at it, I thought it was bigger than what I was really looking for. And it was, but it was presented to me. But it was like the Lord gave me that opportunity and put it in my lap. And I went for it. It was totally out of my field. I've never owned a hotel. I've never owned a restaurant. I've owned companies, but not those to even know what I'm doing. It was 2 years old, the $8 million property. And I looked at that building and I said, this is for me. This is for me. And when I began to step out in faith and believe that I was bigger, it was the rest of me that I was discovering. I'm like Brenda, I 16 years in real estate. Mm-hmm. And I saw real estate what got me into real estate also was I wanted to help people get into get into their own place. And I think I was the queen of creative financing in Buffalo, New York. It was when creative financing was huge, and I got everybody in homes that ever thought they could. And it was just a blessing, but something like that just fueled me that I could do more. And when I saw the opportunity to bring jobs into the community and also to do something with ministry and with profit and nonprofit, I took the dive. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I knew that I could ask for help, and I could, whatever I didn't do, I could write a check for somebody and they come in and do it. So that's how I got started. And it was totally out of my field, but it was an opportunity that I did not forfeit, and I jumped on it and I seized the moment. And it's 8 years later.
Wow. I'm sensing a common thread between what both of you are saying is that being a blessing to others, looking out to help others, not just yourselves, but helping others. And I think that tends to lead to your success, in that you're giving, not taking, but giving.
Right.
And sometimes we think that I can't give, because if I give, I won't have.
Right.
But we find that, especially, for people who are of faith, that it is more blessed to give than to receive, because we realize that we're going to receive, because that's
Right.
just the promise of from God that we have, that He's going to bless us. I don't know if either of you. I'm gonna read some of these characteristics that the women on Facebook put out there. Um, she is unwavering. She's poised. She's graceful. These are what the characteristic of a successful woman. She's honest. She has self confidence. She's creative, loving, has a nurturing spirit, humble, bold, confident, powerful, and encouraging.
Hmm.
And it's so when I look at these characteristics or attributes, it's like it's like the lion and the lamb, coexisting together. And as women, uh, James Brown said it like this: it's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a little girl. And
That's right.
so, we know that we have to exist on both ends of the spectrum. We have to be bold when we need to be, and we have to be humble when we need to be as well. And so I want to say thank you to both of you, because I see those attributes in you that these women were talking about. I noticed this week that with the hearing, and
Yes.
I am just I've been glued to the television. I mean, I've had to
Yes.
step back because, like, the Lord, at some point I had to pray, because it's like, oh, that's my sister you coming at, but in doing that, it made me realize just how powerful women are, uh,
Mhm.
no matter what they want to accomplish, that they are really powerful, and that sometimes there is more power in our silence than when we come out slugging. We don't have to do what they do in order to succeed. Sometimes we can just be ourselves. And but one of the things that I did read, there was an article about Judge Brown Jackson. And I'm going to read this to you and then ask you a question. But the writer said that she watched the hearings, and that the judge addressed her two daughters seated in the audience. And she said, "Girls, I know it has not been easy, as I have tried to navigate the challenges of juggling my career and motherhood. I fully admit that I did not always get the balance right, but I hope that you have seen that with hard work, determination, and love, it can be done." She ended by saying, "I love you so much." Then the writer went on to identify with her, because she has seen this in her mother, who had worked so hard and would come home at night and apologize for having to work so hard and not be there. And so she posed this question, because she said that on one hand, here was the judge, rightfully so, should be proud of what she has accomplished, but then there was this element of guilt that sometimes that we have to juggle. And because when we start doing things, that we sometimes feel guilty, because it may be pulling us away from what somebody else thinks that we should be doing. And so the writer says, out of all of this, can women still have it all? Can we have it all?
Mhm.
I'll let either one of you answer that question.
Yeah.
Well, I would say to you, my dear, when you say, "Can we have it all?" What differentiates us from? I assume we're talking about another species of man, or are we talking about just having all? I think we want to kind of a little comparison.
So the writer was indicating that her mother dealt with feeling guilty. Her father didn't feel guilty for having
Uh-huh.
to do all of this, but the mother felt some sort of guilt for having to leave the daughter, for having to leave her children and to still have a successful career. And so
Okay.
she was saying, can we have it all?
Mm.
Can we find that balance? And is
Mm.
that balance obtainable?
Minister Eva, it's amazing you said that. And I taught for 12 years as a school teacher, and I did see that um, leaving the children, I was teaching and doing real estate, and it was just unbearable. It was too much for me. We had to make a decision. Joe and I made the decision, my husband and I made the decision that I would leave the school system. So most people don't know it, but I left for 12 years
Mhm.
to have that balance. My children were going through some issues in school, um, educationally, and I felt that I could not be successful as a parent. This is just my testimony, and I'm
Mhm.
not for others to follow suit. We had to make a decision, cut back on some things, things that maybe we wanted to purchase, have that balance there. But I left for 12 years. I did the real estate full time. And we had 3 children. We have 3 children, but I wanted to make sure that they were successful. So I think having it all has to do with what's best for you, how
Mhm.
you to tackle having it all. Even though I didn't have the income that I wanted at the time, I still had it all because I had my family. We were in place. My children now came home I was able to get them off the bus every day, to make sure that they got their homework done. I scheduled my appointments during the day. So I felt like I had it all. I have it all. And then when time presented itself, that now we've got 2 in college and 1 in high school, I came back in education. I still have it all. I just had to rearrange some things.
That's it.
Uh, so that's what I did. And it was a blessing for us. And so now I'm getting ready to take this, as Minister Judy said, I'm taking this leap of faith because now I'm going to be doing real estate in other states,
Mm-hmm.
outside of Georgia and South Carolina. So now I'm seeing ourselves in countries outside of the United States. And so
Mhm.
it's a leap of faith, but I set that foundation of having it all now that I feel like my children are grown now. So I just had to make some adjustment. But I do understand how there's still a time sometimes when I would say, did I do something or did I not do something? And, you look at your children and go, did I do this right? Did I not? And I think you'll always have those questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
You'll always wonder, did I do the right thing here or there? But that's what I had to do to have it all. I had to make
Mhm.
some.
So you had to somewhat define what all was,
Absolutely.
because it it's almost like a moment in time.
Yes.
You know, what is all at this point? you
That's
know,
right. That's right.
so it becomes relative to where we are at
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes.
time. Uh,
Yes.
and the key thing is not to give up
Mm-hmm.
once that time has passed. Okay, let's achieve something. Let's go on to something else that I wanted to accomplish. So that, and again, going back to that balance that you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Um, Now I know, Judy, you basically now you have started on a new platform.
Yes.
Um, purpose driven seems to be the same, but it is a
Mm-hmm.
different platform. Talk
Yes.
about
Yeah.
that transition.
Yeah, it's like I'm discovering the rest of me or wanting to continue to evolve. Everybody knows me as the evangelist, the preacher, the apostle, all of that, but there's more to me than that. And also just changing fields of ministry, being more in the marketplace, which I've done behind the scenes. I've minored in that and majored in the other. Now I'm kind of flipping the script and I'm going out majoring in the marketplace. And it's been so far, I didn't just start, but I really head on and just like my sister doing, just making that leap into it all the way. And it's been fulfilling. It's been nervously exciting,
Mm.
but it's been what the Lord has won. And I really go back to what is success for me. you know, and people would say you were successful here and you were successful there, but it's all relative.
Mm.
It's what are you doing now? You know, I know what I used to do. I knew what I was called to do, but what is God calling for me to do now? And it caused me to just, you know, get some more tools in my tool belt and sharpen up in a lot of areas. And it's been great. Success is, I feel like if you don't grow, you'll never know success.
Mm.
The success and comfortable, being comfortable in a place can live together. And so I found myself kind of pushing myself, but even letting myself evolve and discover what was the next for me. And it's been good. It's been real good.
Yeah. So it still goes back to different avenues, but same purpose.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know,
It's
and
it's
and
it's
so
the
so
yes.
in that learning how to chase, for the lack of a better word, to seek after, to go after purpose, as opposed to going after,
Mhm.
oh, I'm going to go after this, but purpose. And purpose tends to lead us into different paths, but
Mhm.
it's still, you are still Judy, you're still
That's
Brenda, I'm
right.
still Eva. You
That's
know,
right.
That's right.
um, I just, I'm just taking off this hat and putting on another hat, but I am still, that face is still the same. I am still that same person, and that's the beauty of, if not losing ourselves in trying to achieve success, and
Right.
not losing ourselves. um, Judy, you said something I read, and um, I thought this was, I was like, wow, that's really profound. You said, and I quote, "Don't get frustrated because you don't see success overnight.
Mm.
It's a full process.
Yes.
Take some
Yeah.
time, map it out,
Yeah.
then follow your plan." Talk about
Amen.
it.
Amen and amen. You know, we always hear about our destiny and our life's purpose, and we want to reach that destiny, but we forget that we have to do that process before we go to the destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we forget about the in between. You know, it so says in the book, he's the first and the last, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, but he never talks about that in between period.
Mm,
And all the things that we have to go through before we get to the fulfillment of what God has called us to. But
Mm.
then understanding, and it's all perspective, like you said earlier, understanding that
Mm-hmm.
it's not that place that I'm waiting to get to, but I understand that every day I'm in the will of God every day.
Yeah.
I'm doing purpose every day.
Yeah.
I'm in
Mm.
destiny every day, you know, and I'm on my way to a greater place every day. So we just keep moving, and that's your point to you can't stop
Mhm.
because you keep evolving, and it's just what's next. It's what's next. It's what's
Mhm.
next. It's what's
Mhm.
next. We move from glory to glory to
glory,
glory,
yeah.
you're to glory, and there's a reward for this stage of our life, and then there's another for this stage, and we just keep moving in the purpose of God, which really, when you think about it, Minister Eva, is all of this that we're talking about, we don't determine it, we discover it. We discover
Mm,
what's next, and
yeah.
then we set our mind and our posture and our position and our will, and say, okay, not my will but your will. I thought it was this, but now let me adjust or get in alignment, that you made a left turn. I thought I was still supposed to go straight. But
Mhm.
that's the mystery, and that's the wonderful, things about God, that we don't know, but he does, as long as we stay true to that assignment, because
Yeah.
all of it is assignment. On the
Mhm.
way, on the way to Peter's house, Jesus stopped and or somewhere, and then he stopped at Peter's house and healed his mother-in-law. So on the way, we're
Mm,
doing
on
something
the
on the
way.
way that is just as significant. Every moment is
That's
significant.
right.
Every city is
Yes.
significant. Every deal is significant. Everything is significant because it is the will of God. And so I think as we understand that, we get a new understanding of trying to reach that place. I'm in that place right now. and tomorrow I'll be in that place right now,
Yeah.
and I'm successful right now, and tomorrow I'll be successful because I am in the will of God, and I have given myself to a plan that I believe that God has laid out before me, and that I'm yet discovering, but I'm saying yes to. Is a lot of it now, and I know my dear sister Brenda, you can attest to this. A lot of it now, I've been ministering for over 55 plus years, and a
Wow.
lot of it now is reward and rest.
Yes.
We're still gonna be ministering, but the labor of it, and I don't
Yeah.
believe that you work, 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 work,
That's
and
right.
there is no reward. So it's not a plan B, it's just what's next
What's
in
next?
our lives as God reveals it and unfolds it, and it gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter as the day
Yes.
goes by.
Yes.
Do you feel like the pandemic had has taught us some of that?
Oh,
That we've got to be more intentional.
yes.
We've got to set plans, more plans.
Hmm.
We've got to be diligent about what we're supposed to be doing, and almost to be focused,
Yeah.
Yes,
and not being so scattered. You know, um, not letting others dictate what our
that
success is,
Hmm.
yes,
but defining it ourselves, and then being focused on achieving that, being focused on that purpose. And I think that's what the pandemic taught me, is that I got to be focused. Um, and I don't know about you ladies, but I have less years ahead of me than I have behind me. So I got to make sure that I'm going in the right direction. I don't want to get off on a different path. I got to stay on the right path, because I have it's so many. Not only am I dependent on me being on the right
that's
path,
right.
but for those that have been assigned to me,
That's right.
I got to stay on the path because they are assigned to me.
Yes.
Mhm.
Um, that's a good question, Brenda. Along this path, do you do you do you feel like there are certain people assigned to you, and if they are, how are you identifying them?
I do believe that a lot of people are assigned to me. And I say that because just in these past, as you said, focus, my prayer is, God, those that you would have me to minister to, or that you would have me to train, let me know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And you lead them to me, so that I'll know that they're supposed to be a part of me. And just this past year, I've got some of the most wonderfulest agents that I've had in a long, 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 long time. They're so energetic. They're young, and then not only that, but I've also identified people that I believe God would say, help this person, help
Mm-hmm.
that, and then maybe give them an opportunity. You minister to them, you show them how to do certain things. So, but that's because you said the key word, Minister Eva, being focused. I I have been not focused at times, but the pandemic taught me that, and I'm in the same situation you're in. I've got more years behind me than in front of me. So I don't have time. I don't have time for um, how can I say it politely? I don't have
Foolishness.
foolishness. I don't. I really don't. I want to do and be where God wants me to be at all times, and I don't want to be. I want to be in that place, in that where He can tell me go right, go left.
That's
And I
right.
want the people that He's given me with me. So that focus is what is all I need. That focus is that Dr. Trim says all the time. God, the people that you've assigned to me, you know, I pray for them. So I pray for
Mm-hmm.
the people that are assigned to me, so that as we're walking, we're all going in the same
Same.
direction, and there aren't agendas, no hidden
Yeah.
agenda. So
Okay.
just being prayerful and just trusting God, and just being available to people and staying focused. That key word you said is focus, because I have been off focus at times, but I want to stay focused. Stay focused.
Judy, what group do you feel like God is assigning to you at this stage?
I feel like not only some of the emerging entrepreneurs or young
Mm.
people in leadership, but also those that are my peers that are not in that space, in that spiritual space, that they're hungry for it.
Hmm.
They're already successful. They're already uh, made their quotas time and over again, time and time over again, but there's still something missing.
Missing.
And so now, being in the space where I am now, I feel like I'm that missing piece that's coming
Mm.
into their lives, because money is not the problem.
Mhm.
Um, you know, having or doing or going is not a problem, but there's still something missing in their lives. And I feel like the light that shines through me and the life that I can release is what they're missing. And that's what I feel called to, pretty much that community of people, along with those that are emerging into leadership and into even ministry, that I found my place right there.
Mm.
And
Have
Minister,
you have either of you seen that there is a an emerging uh, trend of shift as far as women now really becoming, um, I don't know, there's this terminology that you hear people saying all the time, she's bossing. You know, are, are we at that level now, or are we coming to that level? Have we been there and just not acknowledged? What are you seeing? What are you seeing is the trend, Judy, for women
Uh, in the place of authority, maybe you're saying.
in authority, in the workplace, in the spirit realm, wherever? Because I believe that, I believe it when it says first naturally and then spiritually.
Right,
So
right, right.
but we have, and I know, because you've been in ministry, and uh, ministry has been a male dominated,
Yeah,
even back in the Bible days,
yeah, yeah.
with the two daughters said, give us our father's land. He didn't have any sons, give it to us.
Look
They
at
had to
that
plead their
boldness. Yeah.
case.
Look at that boldness. Look at
yes,
that
Yeah,
confidence. You
yeah.
know, look at
yes,
So
that personal authority of knowing who I am, and
mm,
not buying the ticket of you're not worthy or you don't deserve it. And I think
mhm,
we have bought that ticket because we've been indoctrinated like that. We were raised up like that
mhm,
from infancy. I remember hearing Warren Buffett say at a graduation that when he grew up with his sister, he said they were taught that it's the man that makes the money and
mm.
it's the woman that marries the man with the money.
With the money.
And he said, my sister is 3 times as smart, way smarter than I am. He said, she's the one with the brains, but we were not taught that. So she
Mm,
took a position and I took my position. And I'm saying we were taught a lot of things. It was our upbringing. It was the way life was at that time.
mhm.
But now I think we're getting the truth of the matter, that there is neither male nor female.
Female. Yeah.
I think that the same rule applies for everybody in that sense, that, and we should not buy that ticket or have that perception that we have to take. We do it ourselves,
Hmm.
and when we're younger, we had to receive it, we had to take it. But now that we're not, we put away those childish things and some of those things that were taught to us. Now we have our own mantras, we have our own philosophies, we have our own desires and our own way we want to live our lives. So I think that in the natural, first, there are natural indicators that surely point to spiritual indicators. And certainly we see women coming up in the workplace, or taking their rightful place. And so it is also in the sacred world, that
Hmm.
we're I don't think this is the year of, or the decade of, or the season or time of when women are trying to be like men. I don't feel that. I feel this is we're not,
mhm,
we just understand we're not plan B. We're plan A too,
Yeah.
and that we have a seat at the table. And as a matter of fact, you see my name right there. They put my name is there, so I can just take my
Right.
place. And I think if we understand, like the women's of Zelophehad, it's like I'm just taking my place. That belongs to me, you know. And I feel that that's us. That's what I was talking about, the personal authority, that we have to know who we are, and that
Yes.
we don't have to compete or be in competition with
Mhm.
or compare with somebody else. That we can manage our own stuff. We can manage our own emotions. We know how to do conflict resolution. We know how to confront and have critical conversations. We have an authority about ourselves now, and that we understand that we can be in the game, or we can have it all too. And I really feel that the women are rising. I really feel that the glory of the Lord is doing this. You know, a friend of mine that I travel with a little bit, Ed Savoso, he wrote a book a long time ago, that women, God's secret weapon, and that it started with a woman in the garden, and it's going to end. The showdown going to come back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we're gonna get this thing back. But
Yeah.
I really feel, and here's another thing. God bless our brothers, because they're recognizing it too. They're
Yes.
recognizing that it's our day and it's our time. And the fight is not on now like it was when I was coming up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I took the back seat. I had no choice. Oh yes, I was the last. Oh yes, I didn't get on the program. Oh yes, I was on the floor. I mean,
Mhm.
all of that. We took it, you know, and we still moved on, because of
Mhm.
course our commitment is not to man, it's to God.
Right.
And so
Right.
I mean, I would get the questions that why you let them call you that? You know you're a pastor, you know you're evangelist. I said, just give me the mic. Just give me the mic. I don't you wanna just I just need the mic. And I'm just let me
Right.
do what I do. And you can call it what you want to call it, but I'm gonna do what I do,
I
you
do.
know.
All
So I
right.
think the fight is not as bad as it was. Not to say there's not still we have some places to go, but for certain, I have to commend my brethren that they're seeing the light, and
Mhm.
they're coming into the truth of some things that they were even taught differently, and they're
Yes.
opening the door, and they're welcoming us, and they're pushing us on. So yeah, it's on. It's
It's
on.
on.
It's on. The
Yes.
successful woman is
Yes.
alive and well.
Yes.
Well, that leads to the true blueprint of a successful woman is basically she knows who she is,
Yes.
and she's not apologizing for who she is. This is who I am. This is who God
Yeah.
created me to be,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be what God has called me to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
And Minister, even you could feel that when my sister was talking, Sister Brenda was talking, you could feel what drives her, you know, because something's gonna drive you when you if you're successful, something's gotta drive you. And you
mhm.
can feel that passion, you could feel that not that selfless love. You can feel that this is about legacy, this is about posterior, this is about me helping somebody else. You can sense that, and you can feel that. And so that's how I gauge success. You
Yeah.
know, we've all had times to do something to give us more money, but that's not what flips my thing. You know, it's where am I supposed to be? You know, who am I supposed to be with, and what
Hmm.
am I supposed to be doing? And as Mr. Clean wrote that song, the safest place in the whole wide world is in the
It's
will of God.
all
So
right.
that success for me is when I know I'm walking out my purpose, and I'm walking to be that Christ-like, that
Yes.
model of a woman, that he can say, "This is my glory."
Yes.
That's my glory right there.
Well,
Yes.
I know that the time is really, and my producer hasn't said anything, which means that she must be enjoying it, because normally by now I would have gotten a message saying wrap up. Uh,
I don't think we put her to sleep, did we?
she would have said wrap up by now, but I'm going to do the 5 minute wrap up, and Brenda, I want you to take a minute or so and just speak to um, we're talking about the blueprint of a successful woman, but this blueprint can be for anyone.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and so just take a minute or so to just speak from your heart what you would say in order for a person to encourage them to basically reach success.
In order to reach success, know who you are. Never allow anyone to tell you who you are. When you walk into a room, you possess kinetic energy. That energy is loving. That energy is kind. That energy is successful.
Mhm.
That energy says, I am who I am and I know who I am. I am proud of who I am. I am bold. I am beautiful. I am successful. I'm focused. And I'm not driven by what you say. To me, that energy is dumas. It's powerful.
Powerful.
So when you walk into a room, you know who you are. Never succumb to someone else's thought or belief of who you are.
Mhm.
Stay focused on you and what you are trying to do, your vision, your success. Because some people will try to pull you to do what they want you to do.
Right.
But you stay focused on what your plans, write the vision and make it plain.
Mhm.
Follow your goals and get education on what you're trying to do. If you want
Yes.
stylists, be the best hairstylist. When they asked Michael Jackson, what do you think about music, Michael Jackson? He said, I am music. So when people ask me about real estate, you know what I say to them? I am real estate. Know who you are. Know what lane you're going in. And that doesn't define you, stay there. As Minister Judy said earlier, we're evolving around different things now, but we stay focused on who God has called us to be. And you are success. Never let anyone tell you that you're.
Look, Brenda has gotten her help has come into the room. You can tell that shift has come right now. She said, "Don't let anybody." That's the Brenda I know. Now she's been poised on here, but the Brenda I know, she would take you to task. She would do it in love, but she would take you to task. It's like, you got to get this done. No, you got to get this done. I appreciate you, Brenda, for being here. Judy, take a minute or so and have the last words to encourage someone to reach success.
Without growth, there is no success.
Mm.
And to know yourself is to grow yourself.
Yes.
To know yourself is to make a decision that I am going to grow and I'm going to be successful. Successful, the main principle of growth, of success is growth.
Yes.
And I would say to all of my sisters and whoever's listening that it is our time. There is no limit. The sky is not the limit. There is no limit.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally agree with my dear sister, knowing who you are. And I can just wrap up and say two things. Number one, there will never be change. There will never be transitional. There will never be transformation if it's not intentional.
That's
There
right.
has to be intentional transformation. Everybody got good intentions. Everybody, I'm going to do it. I should do it. I need to do it. But until you look at what you want to do and make a decision that it's going to be hard, but I'm going to buy this ticket and I'm going to carve out and move all the distractions out of the way. And I'm going to come to a final resolve that I'm going to succeed and I will abide by no excuses.
No excuses.
That way, I believe that we're on our way. And I'll conclude with saying that you got to get the attitude of a successful woman.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have you got the heart, the integrity, the spirit, but you got to have the attitude like the Proverbs woman in Proverbs 31 and 18. And she says this in the 18th verse, that I know something. I perceive that my merchandise is good.
All
I
right.
dropped the mic on that.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
My merchandise is good. I don't have
My
to compare
merchandise
myself
is
with
good.
nobody. My merchandise is good.
Well, ladies, you heard it. Our merchandise is good. Conclusion, know who you
Yeah.
are. Do not be apologetic of who you are. You are who God made you to be. Set your plan in motion, map it out, and then work towards it. You have the tools to be successful.
Yes.
Let no one tell
Yes.
you anything different. You are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And
Yes.
God is the epitome of success. If He created you to be an individual, there is nobody else. I don't care if they look like you. They are not you.
Mhm.
You are uniquely made. And
Yes.
so, therefore, your success, you define that and go after it. This has
Amen.
been Community Social Justice. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Brenda. Hopefully, we can come back and do this again, talk about something else. Thank you so much, Community Social Justice. Join us again. We'll see you on the next go round. Peace out. God bless.